And that's what I feel like this mental, emotional trauma is what's just at that heart of that onion. Like once you pull all those layers back and all of the years of existing on this planet where we just keep patching things because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about our pain. We don't talk about our frustrations because it's just not really acceptable here. We see social media. We're supposed to be perfect. Like I look at some of these social media platforms and the photos are gorgeous and their hair is done all the time and they have matching clothes. And if you saw what I'm wearing right now, like I have this shirt on, but I'm wearing like these hilarious shorts.
Welcome to Personalized by Vitamin Lab, the show where we dive deep into the world of personalization in healthcare. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser. Please remember that the following discussion is for educational purposes only, and it's not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. Speak with your healthcare practitioner first before integrating anything that you learned today. Join us as we explore the remarkable stories, breakthroughs, and possibilities that come with the pursuit of personalized healthcare. Dr. Ashley Mayer, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is such an honor.
Oh, we're so grateful that you're here. Thanks for joining Personalized. We're interested in talking to practitioners about how to personalize care and how to really practice individualized medicine. We scheduled the first week of interviews. We thought of you first. We thought, we should bring on Ashley and talk about her practice has evolved over time and what's keeping her inspired now. And you graciously accepted the offer and here we are finally recording. And so we sort of are starting these podcasts by diving deeper into that one concept. But in order to do that, we really need to know a bit more about your background. Could you tell us about what inspired you to become a naturopathic doctor and practice in this world of individualized and personalized care?
Sure. So it actually all started about 25 years ago, and it was for no other reason than I wanted to heal myself. And at the time, I was really sick, and I had just graduated from college. I was a collegiate athlete. I was a swimmer at The Ohio State University. And so I was really in tune with my body and I was really in tune with, how to take care of myself. But I had gone to 3 different physicians asking for help. And all 3 of them wanted to prescribe an antidepressant. And funny enough, there were 3 different antidepressants for the 3 different doctors who'd wanted to prescribe to me. And I told all 3 of them, look, I'm not sick. I don't have this problem. I haven't gained almost 100 pounds in a year because I am deficient in an antidepressant. And so I just took it upon myself and I was just like, look, if I'm not going to get any help, then I am going to do this myself. And I was living in California at the time. And I'll never forget it. It was, late at night, probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was just searching on Google, trying to find answers, looking up common symptoms and what other people were doing and what helped them with the symptoms that I was having. And lo and behold, on the right-hand sidebar of my computer, there was an advertisement for the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. And I clicked on it and it was one of those God moments. And I thought to myself, I'm doing this. So I signed up late. So they did accept me and I was super, super late in the game. And within a few months, I flew to Toronto and I started medical school from California to Toronto in less than, I think it was 2 months. And I was wowed because I didn't even know what naturopathic medicine was. I'll tell you, my first homeopathy class, I was like, oh my goodness, am I in the right spot? Now I love homeopathy, but wrapping your head around it in the beginning was so difficult. And in the beginning, it was me healing myself. It was all about me. I had been through so many trials and tribulations over the past 1.5 years, 2 years. And I come to the realization that I can help people. I can help all the people who are in my shoes. And that's how I actually fell into medicine.
Amazing. Oh, that's such an incredible story. Self-healing journey. You're right. It's a lot of people's stories, but yours especially. I mean, you went straight away without even thinking about how you were going to be a practitioner someday. You were simply thinking, I am unwell and I need to get myself well again.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Much of my life has been jump in with both feet. And you just figure it out after you jump. So I don't necessarily recommend that to everybody, but I'll tell you, Most of my life has been that's the case.
I love it. I'm not a very artsy guy, but I have this piece of art where that is the story. Right? Mm-hmm. So the story is, it's a painting of a landscape, and the story is jump into the unknown because you don't know what good can come.
Sure.
And you fully experienced it.
Over and over again. That was just the beginning.
So you go to Toronto.
You just morph over time, and I have. So yes, the dollar swung the other way, actually. I'm from the United States, and my father was very concerned about me living in Canada. And he said, you know what? Is there a school in the United States? And I said, yes. And then I thought, gosh, I think I want to get into sports medicine, acupuncture, so I can help also take care of athletes who were in my shoes when I was broken down as an athlete. And so I did. I transferred to Arizona, and I think now it's called Sonoran University. But I transferred down here, and I did I actually graduated in just a little over 3 years instead of 4. I busted my behind at down here in Arizona. And in the meantime, I think I had about 1.5 years here, and I realized I don't like acupuncture.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's the process though, right?
Right? It is. Things just morph. So I graduated, and do you want me to keep going? Because it's kind of a cool story.
It's a super cool story. Are you kidding? No, that's why I'm letting you go. I'll interrupt you when I...
Okay, awesome. I graduated, not a penny to my name. I couldn't pay my rent. You graduate medical school thinking you're on top of the world. You're a doctor. I passed my boards with flying colors, and here I am. I'm ready to practice. Crickets. How are you going to find...
Nobody knocking.
No, because I didn't even have an office. It's like you have to go find an office now, and you have to figure out your electronic medical record situation, and you have to find out your business and your tax ID number and your EIN number and your DEA number. And there were so many of these obstacles in the way. And I was just thinking, how am I going to do this? I have to make a living. And most of the people who graduated I just felt like they were really not charging enough. They weren't charging what they were worth. And I started out that way. So it was, it was a big split. It was like a 60-40 split. And I remember this one patient coming in, and I did a full physical exam on him, and he was in his 50s. And he just looked at me and said, this was the most thorough physical exam I have ever had in my life. And I go to the Mayo every year to get an annual physical. And he started coming every week for IV therapy. And he probably lived quite a bit away. And he said, hey, I want to do a detox. He was a smoker. He goes, I want to do a detox. I'm finally not smoking anymore, and I need your help. So can you send me somewhere to do the detox? And I said, oh, I do that. I've never taken someone through like a full detox before. And he goes, really great. Let's do it. I want to do it out of my house. I don't want to have to keep coming here. And so can you put this together? And I said, oh yeah, I do it all the time. And he's like, how much is this? And I just threw out a number. I was like, that's 23,000.
Oh my God.
And I keep in mind, I was eating oatmeal 3 times a day at the time. Like I had no money. And he goes, yeah, done deal. So I called my girlfriend at the time who lived in Canada. She graduated from CCNM, Dr. Teresa Kamosi, who's still my partner now, my business partner. And I told her, hey, I need you to be the expert acupuncturist. I need you to come down for 2 weeks and do this detox with me for this patient. And it was awesome. And we don't realize when we graduate from medical school how smart we really are. Like we might not have much of a business sense, but when you start working with the body and see it healing, I mean, Dr. Teresa and I had so much fun in those 2 weeks. And then I had this brain moment. What if I charged package prices instead of trading dollars for hours? And so that's what I did. And I just picked some numbers and I started charging package prices for therapy. And again, probably 2 years later, someone comes into the office and he said, look, I have a whole family. I just want to pay for the year. Aha. And it morphed into concierge medicine. So it was all of these serendipitous moments for me over time that brought me to where I am today. And I was not an expert in any of it. I just decided to be one, if that makes sense. I didn't have the knowledge of what a concierge practice looked like, but I researched it. And so I just continue to morph into all these different hats. And it's just really pushed my practice to the next level. And I'll tell you what really tipped my practice over the edge was I was thinking, all right, if I have a concierge practice, how do I keep them coming? Like, what is it? What's going to keep them coming? And I found Vitamin Lab. So I found a company who would run labs every 3 months, micronutrient panels every 3 months for my patients. I uploaded the results, and my patients got formulated nutrients specific to their blood lab results every 4 months. So I'd run their labs every 3 months, and in the 4th month, they would get their nutrients. And that was that. That was in, I think, 2017 or 2018, I partnered with Vitamin Lab. And that was where my formulating experience really took off.
Absolutely. Cool. Before we get deeper into that, I need to know how you healed yourself. I mean, you got through that process, right? And you completed the program. What was it that you needed? What did you learn? What modalities worked best for you as a person and helped you get back to your you?
I think most importantly, I just needed to learn how to heal past trauma. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was utilizing external means to support internal invalidation. So at the time, I low self-esteem, and I was just using all these external means of validation. And in the end, I just really needed to heal from a lot of past trauma. We used everything. We used herbs. We used acupuncture. We used homeopathy. I used a lot of talk therapy. So there was a 4th-year resident at the school, and it was, I think, twice a week for a year. He and I just talked, and I just talked out my past. I talked out my trauma, and, I think that all of that always stays with you, but you just find a way to live with it, and you find a way to be okay with it. And that's just part of who you are and who your past is. And you can move forward in a better light. And
absolutely.
And it takes a while. It was a journey. It was several years. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, I just need to take some supplements or, a couple of things, and I'm going to be right back on track. And it really was, a decade journey. Mm-hmm. So it was, layer after layer. It's like peeling an onion. Specialized medicine or individualized medicine is really about peeling back the onion, peeling back the layers of the person, the patient, to really get inside their human existence. And so that's
I fully agree. Fully agree with that. Right? And thank you so much for bringing up the example of talk therapy, because it's not something that people typically think that naturopaths would be involved in, or integrative medicine practitioners would maybe incorporate into their practice or incorporate into their clinic by working with another practitioner, but we do. And we consider it to be incredibly valuable. And often we're the ones who are providing it. I mean, I went through a period where I was doing VR therapy in practice. So we're working with Sias, which is now called Amelia. And so you're doing exposure therapy using VR. So for phobias, it was incredibly powerful. But for anxiety reduction, putting someone on the beach, the brain thinks it's like totally normal, and it is real after about 5 minutes. So we got really into that. It wasn't something that is even known about in the city, and I had a hard time teaching people about the value of it, but it could be so valuable to have something that's part of your practice that is going to speak to that mental, emotional body while you're using sort of the physical modalities.
Absolutely. It's putting it all together, and that's what individualized patient care is all about. It's not using one modality. It's using whatever is going to help that person. So, there's been a lot of times where I didn't even know there'd be a new therapy out there, or I would be researching a patient and there'd be something I've never done before or never even known about. And, you just add that. I went and I go, and you go to the conferences, or you go and you learn, and you can just start adding those tools in your toolbox to be able to take care of each patient.
Absolutely. You just keep adding. And that's why we're doing this podcast. That's why I'm so grateful to talk to you, because, you're a living example of someone who is going into the unknown a little bit and experimenting a little bit, but using your baseline education and your knowledge and your passion to drive those findings. And then the willingness to incorporate these programs for people is something that can be challenging for practitioners, right? It's difficult to make that leap.
It's difficult to make the leap, but, I don't know how it is in Canada, but here in the United States, most doctors get 7 minutes with you. And that's all that they're allotted because, they have to run the practice. They have to make money. It's what insurance is going to cover. And so having the opportunity as a naturopathic physician, we do take insurance here, but I didn't. It's a cash pay practice, but the reason was I want time with you. I want to be able to sit with you for an hour or 90 minutes if we have to, because there's so much to unravel. It's not just one instance that brought you where you are today. So if someone comes in with hypertension, how did you get there? How did you get to this place? It's not that, hey, we just need to bring your blood pressure down, which we do, right? In the beginning, it's, hey, let's prescribe this blood pressure med with the idea we get you off of it. Like, things like talk therapy, acupuncture, herbs. I mean, there's so many options. It's just unfortunate that many doctors don't have an opportunity to utilize the tools in their toolbox. And so I like more of podcasts like this. Customers or patients, they can sit down and they can listen to these and they can seek out healthcare professionals like you and me to help them get to the bottom of whatever they're dealing with.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really helpful to hear it all in one conversation, I think. Like, just to know how much you benefited from talk therapy, but to know that you were doing all these therapies at the same time. I think that's quite inspiring for a person.
Thank you so much.
How did it evolve? You're welcome. How did it evolve? Where did you get? So you got to this place where you're using objective measurements to inform your protocols. So you're doing custom blends from objective nutrient data. That evolves into you becoming a formulator and creating your own brand.
That's like another story in and of itself. And people look at the company now, and we're probably going to push 8 figures for 2024. And people think that this happened, overnight, because the Dr. Green Mom brand really, really exploded probably about 2 years ago. And so people just assume this is new. I actually started the company back in 2014. So I had no money again. I was in a tiny apartment with my daughter, newly divorced. And I was thinking, how am I going to be able to take care of my daughter and see patients all at the same time, and very little money again because of some of the personal things that I'd went through. All of the things I did for my daughter, I started blogging about. So just raising her the way I felt nature intended. And I just started blogging about that. And I found someone to help me build this little website, and it's been revamped again since then. And our new website is actually launching in 2 weeks, which is just a monster. Over time, it's really evolved. It's been a huge passion of mine. It's been a personal passion project of mine. We're going to be celebrating 10 years next year. So it's something I get so teary-eyed on this. It's something I never would have thought could happen to me. All of the hard work and everything that I've gone through to get to here. And, I can afford to put food on the table, and I can afford to put food on so many others' table now. I started a foundation 2 years ago. And we do so much community outreach. It's been, the more that I make, the more I give. That's been part of the personal passion project of mine, is to see others succeed who are in my shoes. So yeah, we are, we have a new site launching, in 2 weeks, and, Dr. Green Life is our new company brand, Dr. Green Mom and Dr. Green Life. And we're just steam forwarding for 2024. It's been work. Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Okay, so you have to unpack some of that for me, because there's so much there that I think will be valuable for the listener, especially if it's an integrative practitioner looking to expand their offerings, for example, or to venture out into a different world than just regular old clinical practice. Let's talk a little bit about the blog initially. You said you're blogging about how you were raising your child. Were you talking about nutrition, parenting in general? What were the type of topics that really you were diving into?
It was a natural lifestyle. So removing toxicity from your life, and whether that's the products that you use on your skin or if that's the foods that you're eating. Several years ago, that really took hold. People didn't know what genetically modified organisms were. They didn't know what glyphosate was. And that was just really educating on how you can take care of your kids without all of these endogenous toxins, or exogenous and endogenous toxins, for our children, because we've got autism on the rise and chronic disease on the rise for kids. And I just tried to, in a very easy way, unravel what some of these environmental issues and environmental concerns and how they're affecting our children. And I'm very neutral, but vaccines was a huge topic that I thought was very important for me to discuss. I believe in true informed consent as a physician, and I believe that there's more than two sides to that coin. There's several sides, and I believe all of them should be discussed, especially with your healthcare provider. And so I did start offering a lot of that information on the website as well.
And how did that evolve? Like, how did that translate into you becoming a formulator? So you're writing about how you're raising your child, and people are really resonating with the blogging that you're doing. And I'm sure that there's some integration in the sort of lifestyle choices you're making, other moms are making for their kids. Mm-hmm. And then you make a product. Does it start with one product, or how does it begin?
I did. I started with, it was 4 products that I started with. 3 of them I private labeled, and 1 of them I formulated myself. And I was making smoothies in my kitchen for my daughter with herbs and detox smoothies. And because my daughter, that doesn't matter, but we were doing detox smoothies for my daughter, and all of the ingredients I was using, I got to thinking, look, my kid is not doing well, and I need to push this out into the world. And I was a credit card. I put the formulation and all the expenses on a credit card, and I'll tell you, I pushed those 4 products out and crickets.
I love that you can laugh now.
I'm sure it wasn't crickets. No, not at the time. I was thinking, what was I thinking? 3 of the 4 products, several of the bottles that I had purchased had expired before I could sell them. And so I was thinking, what am I doing? What have I gotten myself into? But again, it was a true passion project for me, and I really wanted to push this information out into the world. And I had no idea about social media. Oh my goodness, that was just another iron on the fire. But I just started posting about vaccine education. That was important to me. And lo and behold, COVID happened. And then people sought me out. So I ended up gaining a very large following very fast because I'm neutral. I'm not one side or the other. And I'll never make the decision for you. That's up to you and your family. And I think people resonate with that. People resonate with the idea of medical freedom. They resonate with the idea of informed consent and being offered an option. And, with naturopathic medicine, we have so many tools in the toolbox. So if someone's like, whoa, I can't do acupuncture. All right, sweet. Here's homeopathy. So I use that. I use that as the way that I teach and educate, is that I always offer options. And I had some immune support supplements that I formulated. And it was all with the help of, not that I'm plugging Vitamin Lab, but you guys really helped me to learn how to do this. One of the products that I started with, I actually formulated with Vitamin Lab, and they allowed me to purchase in bulk. And that's one of the big sellers that's now on my website.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So when we think about the initial formulations, like, was it all centered around immune support? Like, what was your idea with the initial launch?
The initial launch was vaccine detox. That was the initial. The initial launch was my Vax Clear product. There are several herbs that work synergistically together to open up detox pathways. So you've got chlorella and cilantro, and several other herbs that open up the liver and open up the kidneys. And so it was that and a probiotic and a fish oil and vitamin A and vitamin D. So it was 5 products, and it was for vaccination.
Amazing.
And it was 2019. No, the supplements just started. So they started the tail end of 2019 because I decided I was going to be an expert in vaccines. I was pregnant with our son, and my husband traveled a lot. And I said, you know what? We've got to figure out how we are going to survive financially with you gone and me still having to work. But we don't have childcare because we have this new baby. And I put together a vaccine course. And with the vaccine course, came the products. So both of them went hand in hand. And that was how I was going to launch this supplement brand. And lo and behold, was it March of 2020? Right after I launched in late November of 2019, the supplement line, then COVID hit.
Wow.
And that was when many people had many questions about what they were going to do next. And, you know, you and I both, we know how to take care of the immune system in times of illness. And the immune system support was what was really important at the time. And I formulated the frontline, the FLCCC protocol for nutrients. And that's what I started selling with that Vitamin Lab had offered. I had an adult version and an infant and kids powder.
Wow. And were you still in clinical practice at that time?
Oh, absolutely. I still kind of am.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, I still have a few patients on the list that I'll see, although I haven't given an invoice in probably 2 years.
Nice.
So I guess that's another passion project. I have not fully shut down my practice, but I would like to here in 2024.
Wow. Okay.
But I was seeing patients at the time. Oh,
amazing. And was it mostly pediatric focused?
no, it was family practice. So I actually have always prided myself on being very good at autoimmune and hormones. And so I had several, most of my patients were adults. I just love kids because I have my own child and I have so much information to give to the world because I have firsthand experience with how to raise a little one. And I love working with kids, but the kids weren't the main focus of my practice when I was in practice several years ago.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit about your practice. So did you say autoimmune disease and hormones?
It was everything. I just was really good at adult-focused symptoms and diseases. So I did a lot with adults, and I didn't see many kids with, hand, foot, mouth or the common cold until probably 2 years ago. And that's when the practice exploded with kids because of Dr. Green Mom and the brand. And so I smashed both of those together with my concierge practice. And I was doing internet consults for about a year and fully booked every Tuesday and Thursday. And it was, 8 consults Tuesdays, 8 consults Thursdays. It was so much. And I ended up putting that on the back burner. And now we just refer out for the online consultations.
Vitamin Lab revolutionizes personalized supplements, empowering health practitioners to create tailored supplement formulations that address each patient's unique needs. Bring personalized health to your practice and choose from over 200 professional-grade ingredients to create vitamin formulas that improve patient adherence and result in tangible outcomes. All ingredients are sourced from the world's most trusted suppliers, and Vitamin Lab provides hands-on support to help you formulate and launch personalization to your patients. Say hello to a new era of personalized supplement solutions. Go to getvitaminlab.com/personalized to save $100 off your first formula.
Absolutely. And so now you have this rapidly growing company. Everything's going really well. Tell me, how many products you have formulated now?
I think that our repertoire, including the skincare that I formulated last year, that skincare companies have my blessing, man. It is a monster wrapping your head around skincare, especially clean skincare. The skincare line has 13 or 14 products, I believe. And the supplements that we have, the oral supplements that we have, I'm saying maybe 70.
Wow.
We have 13 coming this fall. We have an entire mother's line of herbal products coming. One of them is Decongest, Mother's Nature's Biotic, Mother's Nature Profen. They're herbs that are okay in pregnancy and lactation. And so
incredible.
We are so underserving to that community and that population. If you're pregnant or you're nursing, it's sorry, good luck to you. There's really nothing that we can do for you because pretty much everything's contraindicated. But we know as naturopathic doctors that there's many things that you can do for pregnancy and lactation. So Dr. Teresa and I formulated that entire line that launches in just a few weeks.
Definitely. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, there's a big need in that area. I remember when my wife was pregnant for our first child and we needed something. It was really difficult to find it. Like we had to really search.
Right.
And even when we did, it's hard to say if the added ingredients were appropriate or not. And we tried to do our best, but there just wasn't much available.
No. And, there's some really good research, which is actually really bad, coming out in pregnancy about Tylenol and ibuprofen, both. And so that's what you're told to take is take Tylenol, take Tylenol, take Tylenol. And that's your only option. And now we're seeing some really great research come out saying, actually, no, please don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant. Dr. Teresa and I knew that there are other ways. And
term mean to you? What does the term clean mean? You brought it up a couple of times. You said clean. And now with this, the reference to the Tylenol and the ibuprofen, what does clean really mean to you? What have you left out that you'd like to share?
Of our herbal products?
Yeah.
We don't use any dyes. We don't use any flavorings that are harmful. Everything is organic as best we can. All herbs are researched back and forth, upside down, to make sure that what we're formulating is going to be safe for whichever group of humans that we're formulating for in the moment. We do third-party testing for heavy metals through Eurofins. So 100% of our products are third-party tested. 100% of our products are third-party tested for glyphosate. We are almost finished with the non-GMO verified, the non-GMO project verified certification. That is the most intense certification to get that we have ever worked with. They actually have to work with all of the manufacturers and where all of the ingredients are sourced. And it's a really cool process. Now that we're really diving deep into what a true clean product means, it's a lot of money. And it's a lot of effort. And I see why most companies kind of put this to the wayside because there's just so much work involved. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you see the value in it and you've seen how effective your products can be and that they're obviously resonating with the public significantly.
Absolutely. I want to say we're pushing about 7,000 plus orders a month right now. And we just have the website. So all we do is sell through the website. We've had offers to go through Amazon, and we may work with FullScript to get in with them in the spring of 2024. I'd like to see us in Whole Foods. I'd like to see us in large stores. So that is a project that I feel will come to fruition. It's just a matter of when I do it.
Absolutely.
It's just like what you said at the beginning of this. You just take that leap and then you just figure out how to do it.
There you go.
After you've jumped off the cliff, now you just got to figure out how you're going to get down to the bottom.
For sure.
Without injuring yourself.
Oh my gosh, totally. But look at you. You're still healthy. You're doing it.
Yeah.
So you were saying about the skincare that you launched a bunch of skincare products just recently. Can you tell us a little bit about what type of products you're launching and what maybe ingredients are left out of those? What conditions are you targeting?
I refuse to have any products with parabens, with phthalates. We don't use any soy in our products. We try very hard not to use any common allergens. We used coconut in the adult line, coconut oil as one of the bases for our adult line. But we ended up using mango seed butter and jojoba oil for the infant and kid line. There are kids with coconut allergy. Isn't that interesting? And so I want to say we revolutionized skincare after what I went through. If you saw the prototypes in my house, I still keep them all. My husband's like, will you please throw these away? There's probably 150 white little tubes and bottles and jars laying in just this huge basket sitting near the kitchen. And he's like, what are you going to do with these? I said, I'm going to do a reel one day on social media. And I want everybody to know how much effort it took to do the skincare line.
Absolutely. You have to.
Yeah, we have an infant and kid body lotion and body wash. And we have a Dr. Balm, which Dr. Teresa and I formulated. And you had asked about what conditions for it to treat. And it's for any skin, any itchy, irritated, red skin. We like to use it on infants for diaper rash and eczema. And it's just beautiful. We add calendula and other beautiful herbs, and it's just a clean line. And then all of that's third party tested as well.
Oh, excellent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have with 3 children, and we've used so much calendula cream. It's like unbelievable how much we've actually gone through. So I'm glad to see a naturopath actually making one. There you go.
Right? Those are the 2 things, arnica and calendula. You can't leave home without those when you have a kid.
No, you really can't. My wife has a first aid kit that's in the stroller that never leaves the stroller. And it gets used like literally every single day.
Of course it does. I've got a lot of friends who keep homeopathics with them all the time for their kids because homeopathics work so well for little kids. And it's, you dump out my purse and there's just all these, plastic containers with pellets.
There you go. There you go. So you've come a long way, and I'm really inspired to know what's next. I know that you're growing and you're adding new products, and it sounds like this website launch is a really big deal for your company. I'm interested to know where the focus of the company is. Like, are we thinking about new conditions next, or new products, or what's the idea and strategy going forward?
We always have strategies and new things coming down the pipe. And every time I tell my staff, we're going to take a break after this next big thing. And then it's, no, you're so full of it, Ash. Because I always come up with something new. And so in the spring, we're thinking fertility. We really want to focus on fertility, and we want to focus on men and women both for fertility. And that is important to both myself and so many parents out there who are trying to conceive. And it's a personal story for me as well. And I like to think that many of my products came to fruition because I actually needed them somehow. So it was either patients that did really well with those herbal concoctions that I put together for their treatment, or it was something that I'd given several kids that I had put together. And so that's how my products actually come about. It's generally because I had a need for them. And so I just kept it in my back pocket what the formulas were. And that's how they continue to roll out. But I'll tell you, Dr. Teresa and I are both starters. So I don't know how much you know about the type of people that people are in general. And I haven't done much research on it, but they're starters and finishers, and I don't know who's in the middle. But her and I were laughing the other day because we're like, what about starting a company in the early year of 2024 on how to teach people to start their own supplement companies? So we really want to do education. So the next company that I launch is going to be an education piece. So Dr. Green Life launches. It is just like Dr. Green Mom, but it's the supplements for everyone. So we're including all men, women, adults. And that launches, well, we already have several products in Dr. Green Life, but the actual website, drgreenlife.com, launches in a couple weeks. And drgreenmom.com is being revamped and relaunches in a couple weeks. So cool. We're always thinking of what we want to do next. But the next one is definitely education. So as much of education as we do with Dr. Green Mom and Dr. Green Life, it's very product focused with supplements. Mm-hmm. And so this next one's going to be courses and a lot of talking and a lot of teaching. Like, I'm really looking forward to teaching other practitioners and other people in general how to make a business work for you.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, you'll be a great teacher.
Thanks.
And tell me a little bit about the foundation. You mentioned that you started a foundation and you're trying to do some good. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So I started a foundation in December of 2021, and that was another passion project of mine. I wanted to reach those people in the community and those people in society who needed assistance. And so far, we've teamed up with over a dozen organizations, one of them being the Friendly House, which was very important to me. I grew up at the Friendly House when I was a little kid. It is an organization funded by United Way, and they're just all about kids, and kids can go there and they can go to after school programs, and there's programs there for kindergarten and preschool. So that was one of the big projects that we collaborated with the Kids Equipment Network in Illinois. It's based out of Chicago, Illinois. My husband has always been in patient education and training education for kids and adults as well with disabilities, mostly kids who need assistance. They need power wheelchairs. They need a wheelchair because some parents are pushing their disabled child around in a stroller. And it's like, they need to be able to move. They deserve mobility. If you have cerebral palsy, you deserve mobility just as much as us. And so I'm a huge advocate for helping children get into power wheelchairs. My sister is as well. That was part of my personal passion, is watching my sister do this as for a living. So as a foundation, we work with the Kids Equipment Network. So we help to fund them. We do personal funding. So mothers, we've funded a mother with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and she took her entire family on a vacation. Wow. before she passed away. And it was awesome. So we just do those things. And we just recently funded a mama to start her own women's company. So she's launching her first course in a couple weeks. That's my favorite thing to do.
Amazing.
Totally. I'd love to, I don't want to say this on camera, but I would love to free up all of my time and just dedicate myself to the foundation eventually. I mean, that's truly what I'd really love to do.
Pretty straight path to that.
I think
really
so.
Does. It really does.
It's just learning the ins and outs of what they do and what they're allowed to do. And, I'm giving all this money away to these people, and they're like, well, you're supposed to give it to organizations, and now you're going to get taxed on it. Well, I don't care.
That's not the idea. That's not the point. Come on. It's really cool. Oh my gosh. I'm doing a program right now in community economic development. So I'm hanging out every week with basically 15 other people who are only work and not-for-profits. And they're like the coolest people and the kindest people. And they know all the ins and outs. I can connect you with some of them, by the way.
I would love to, because it's literally like what I do with everything in my life. I jump and then I'm like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know how to do this. But you figure it out. It's just, And you're passion driven, right? Like you're taking your passions and you're applying your extra finances currently in areas that are what you think brings good to the world. And it sounds like you're doing incredible work. Oh, thank you so much. I just, I don't know how I got here. I do. It was a lot of work.
Well, here's the thing. This is the next question. How do we help young graduates? Let's say you're fourth year CCNM or other college graduate, just entering into the world of naturopathic medicine, and someone's listening to you, and it's like you've gone from student to clinician straight into business and you're thriving. And I'm really interested to know how you would support a new grad. What would you tell a new grad if they were entering into the profession today? How can they really make a difference? How can they do something that they're passionate about, where they can help as many people as possible? What kind of advice would you give them?
So don't laugh until I explain. But I'm going to tell you my piece of advice that I tell grads, I speak with grads regularly, is this: fake it till you make it. And the reason I say this is because when I was a new grad, I was so clueless with business, and I'm so smart, and I have this great degree, and I passed my boards with flying colors, and I have all of this information stored in my head that I can use, and I have no one to give it to. I don't have any patients. I don't have an office. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And so I say this: fake your confidence until you make it. So when I first started out, when I was approached about doing a detox, I was like, yeah, absolutely, I do that. I can do that. I just totally faked my confidence. I had no idea how I was going to put this together, but I did it. So all of the steps along the way, we always second guess ourselves. It's just part of humanity, is just to second guess. And so in those times, fake that confidence and fake that courage. Until you make it. And I still feel like I haven't made it. One of these days, like I teaching people to be a supplement company, to run a supplement company. I mean, I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to jump right in and do it. All of the platforms, all the platforms that you have to understand now. There's Kajabi and ClickFunnels and WooCommerce and Shopify and all of these things. Like, I had no idea how to use any of them when I started, and I just totally faked it. I was like, I got to do it. And I just sat down and started building, and some of it looked terrible, and you're constantly starting over, but just don't quit, man. Every time you think that something's not going to work out, just don't quit, and align yourself with some practitioners. Align yourself with some practitioners that you believe in, and try your best to perhaps find a mentor.
I love it. That's excellent advice. Come on. It's so good.
Thanks, man.
It is. I mean, I remember when I started, I had this treatment notebook, right? That I thought it was crazy. When all through school, you're making this treatment notebook, and then you learn pharmacy at the end here. That's how we did it. So I had my my pharmaceutical book and everything I had learned about primary care and conventional care. And then I had my treatment notebook, which was all naturopathic treatments. And when I had someone sit in front of me, I say, look, this is what my supervisors do, and they're the experts here. And this protocol, like, it's literally theirs. I was not brave enough to fake it until I made it. So I would like literally show them, this is what everyone's doing, and it really works for people. But you're like, okay, this is it. We can do this.
I'm the expert.
Jump right in. And
You just be the expert. And one other bit of advice. I always talk to my staff about this, and they like to laugh. And we talk about R&D. So R&D historically stands for research and development. So if you've got something new that you want to push out into the world, whether it's a course or a product, a supplement, etc., a new treatment protocol, we always do all this research and development, or we talk about research and development. And what I like to say instead is rip off and duplicate. Find somebody that's doing it better than you.
Ashley, come on.
I mean, find somebody that's doing it better than you and dive in. Like what programs are they using? What platforms are they using? I told you before this podcast started, I found out from another podcaster what podcast equipment to use. I mean, just find out what those people who are doing it and doing what you want to do. When I first launched drgreenmom.com, I emulated another site that I loved. So I took so much of not their physical information, but the way they place images, the way that they put their content. They were killing it. They were doing so well in the market. And so I emulated what they were doing. So don't feel like you have to create something brand new. Find what others are doing and do it better, you know?
So this is great advice. That's what we're doing here. Yeah. We're expanding and adding new clinics. And what we're trying to do is take this one model that practitioners can use. And when they're using this model, so you know, they're in it, like we already have it. This is what they can do. They can follow this model exactly. And then so we're all working together. We're moving toward the same goal, but you're just replicating what everyone else is doing. And then they have agency, right? Then they can treat the person in front of them. They followed this model to get into that initial visit, and they're following the steps that we have outlined when they meet the patient and what investigation they do first. And then the agency comes in. What treatments do you want to consider? What labs do you want to do? That's all you. Yeah. And I think having that framework, it sounds like you're looking for frameworks and you're grabbing what is suitable to kind of the vision that you have for yourself and your company. And it's turning out pretty well.
Yeah, be a visionary and be of the understanding that you don't have to go it alone. And there's so many of us who've done it before. Take what we have and make it yours. I mean, you're not going to copyright or plagiarize, but I talk to people all the time about all the platforms I use and how to integrate them and how to get your Klaviyo set up if you want email marketing and how to put it with your Zendesk and, for customer service. And there's so much out there and there's so much information. If there's something I like on a website, I'll have my programmer look into the code of that website and find out what they're using. And then we can use that as well. So never feel like you can't gather information that's already been done.
I love it. That's the other part about individualized care that you really bring up there is that we share protocols, right? Like, I reach out to the elders all the time. And, half the time they don't respond to me because they're so busy and they're like, who is this guy? but sometimes they do share the protocols, right? I know that this fellow that I worked with, he's got amazing protocols, and I'll ask him. And I'll say, what would you do in this scenario? And they'll share with me. And it's so kind. And I love that about our profession.
Oh, I love that about our profession. And I'll say, find a mentor, even if you have to pay them. So there's a fantastic naturopathic doctor that everybody knows. And we are working very hard to get him on to be our chief medical officer. So we're going to have to pay him, but it's worth it. Because we believe in naturopathic medicine and we want that to be instilled in all of our products and everything that we talk about and preach. And that's what I loved about Vitamin Lab. It gave me my first opportunity to really truly individualize my patient's micronutrient center. And that was when I first got into this. Micronutrients, I was depleted. But prior to coming to Toronto to go to school, I mean, I look back and I was so nutrient depleted. So for this to kind of come full circle to be with Vitamin Lab and to be able to formulate for my patients, these were the things that I wished I would have had at my fingertips when I was, that new graduate from Ohio State and trying to spread my wings, but I was just so deficient from my sport and I was just so overtaxed. And so I look back now and I just think it's kind of cool that where I am now, I get to help replete people's micronutrients in an individualized way.
Totally. I'm so glad you went there. In an individualized way. I'm so glad you went there. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you to end our conversation today. If you're speaking to yourself who was unwell at the time, what kind of suggestions would you give to sort of speed the process? And it sounds like taking a look from a micronutrient point of view, you think would be valuable for that person as a sort of first step. What other things would you consider if you're looking back at yourself to help support your healing journey quicker?
Trauma talk therapy. If I would have started that a decade earlier, it really would have meant everything to me. And we suppress so much of our pain and so much of our suffering. And we don't feel like we have much of an opportunity or an out to be able to talk about it to even our friends or family. So just having that opportunity to talk to somebody about how to unravel. We all have trauma in our past. We all have things that didn't go the way that we had hoped that they did. And it's not talked about enough. I feel like broken hearts and broken bodies truly stem from past trauma healing. And so above all, that is find yourself a good therapist or counselor. That is the first step in, I'd say, almost all healing journeys, or one of the first few steps anyway.
I love that. That's a great way to end our conversation today. I think it really brings us full circle, and it is also inspiring to me because I work with a counselor who's really, really good. And I was speaking with her yesterday about all the trauma that people have sort of gone through over the last couple of years that is really difficult to kind of peel back from and enter into this new world with. And she was telling me a little bit about the type of work that she's been doing over the last couple of years and how it's been so different from her prior career.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
how it's evolved.
Imagine, I think now more than ever, in Canada here, mental emotional wellness is being promoted, I guess, by major corporations who are trying to have a social impact. And the government is trying to encourage people to get support. But, people still are having a difficult time taking that leap and actually, committing to a plan that is evidence-based and reasonable for their experience. So just hearing you say it and how much benefit it's had for you, I think it's inspiring.
I'll tell you what, healing of any kind is so hard. You know why? Because you got to work at it. So if it's not in that forefront, if it's not like in your face, a lot of people struggle with it. So if, I like to say that, we have these dashboards of human existence, and it's kind of like the dashboard of a car. And, if the red light comes on, you put a piece of tape over it, a piece of duct tape over it. And then the next red light comes on and you put another piece of duct tape over it, like out of sight, out of mind. But the engine does eventually blow up. Like something big does eventually happen. And that's what we do in the human existence, is that we just keep putting Band-Aids over Band-Aids over Band-Aids on top of everything. And so, when a patient comes to me or comes to you, there's so many Band-Aids. It's like I said, peeling back that onion. There's so many Band-Aids that you have to rip off. And so, people don't tend to get better right away, right? People expect, because we live in a society of quick fix, that, we're going to take something and then all of a sudden feel better. But it really is about peeling that onion. It's peeling off those Band-Aids one at a time. And that's what I feel like this mental, emotional, trauma is what's just at that heart of that onion. Like once you pull all those layers back and all of the years of existing on this planet where we just keep patching things because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about our pain. We don't talk about our frustrations, or because it's just not, it's not really acceptable here. We see social media. We're supposed to be perfect. Like I look at some of these social media platforms and the photos are gorgeous. And their hair is done all the time and they have matching clothes. And if you saw what I'm wearing right now, like I have this shirt on, but I'm wearing like these hilarious shorts. It's like what I wear. It's like my everyday attire. So for me, we live our, we show the world who we're really not generally. And so I find that really getting to the heart of that individual is what's most important. And that takes so much time. So much time. So I went off on a tangent, but that was important to me, apparently.
Not a tangent. It's an excellent metaphor. You know, I think that metaphor is an excellent way for us to end the episode. Thanks so much for that. It's really, really important and powerful, I think. Could you please share with the audience where we can connect with you? How can we find you on social media? How can we connect with your company? Where do we look?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Thanks. drgreenmom.com is the hub of all of it. drgreenlife.com launches in a couple weeks. So October 12th, I believe, is our soft launch. You can find me at drgreenmomvip.com. We have over 800 members. It's a monthly membership. You can find me there doing my unfiltered podcast where I just let loose and talk about everything. And we do live calls every month in there. So we get to speak with all of you. And I want to say that's where you can find me. Always find me on social. I'm quite active on Instagram, Dr. Green Mom.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Ashley, for your time. I really appreciate it. I think our listeners would get a ton out of today's episode. So we really appreciate it. Thanks for joining Personalized.
Awesome. Have an awesome day. I'm so appreciative. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for today's discussion. What about today's podcast resonated with you? Be sure to tag at Dr. David Deiser and at Get Vitamin Lab. If you're learning from and enjoying this podcast, please let us know by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow the show on Spotify and Apple. And don't forget to leave us a review. It's the best way to support our podcast and it helps others find us. To learn more or book a demo to explore what personalization could do for your practice, please go to www.getvitaminlab.com/personalized.